You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Jen.
And I'm Megan, and we're two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
And today we are July 3rd, one day before 4th of July. And this episode, we're really going to just talk about holidays and weekends and how entrepreneurship is in the wedding industry, is not for everyone. And we just kind of want to talk about like what it means to work in this industry, and kind of just what it does for your personal life in addition to your business life. It is a lot of weekends, it is a lot of holidays. So, kicking into the holiday weekend, we kind of wanted to chat about it. And I'm going to start us off because I actually have a wedding tomorrow, 4th of July, and it's at one of my favorite venues, Smith Gardens, which is in East Haddam, Connecticut. Megan and I did a photo shoot there. So
Love it there.
I love that venue. It's just so dreamy. And I've talked about this before, but they truly, truly take care of the vendors. Like I can't even talk about it. I just love working there. But I kind of just want to talk about like actually working weekends and holidays, and kind of just like as a mom of two, and as I have a husband, I have a family, and just kind of like talking about what that means to me and what that looks like. Um, I usually don't book holidays. I did not book Memorial Day because we go away on a family trip every Memorial Day to our cabin in New Hampshire. But I have to say no to business, which is really, really hard for me. I don't know if that's hard for you, but Megan's nodding her head. But it's really hard for me to say no, because we're seasonal businesses for the most part. Our months are pretty much like May to June kicks it off, and then it goes into, I have some holiday parties in December, but primarily October is when I kind of like end my season. So for me to start saying no to business when I only realistically have 5 months to work a business is really hard. But also, the summer is when people do fun things and go. I don't know if you can see my shirt today, but it says it's a good day to drink on a boat. Joe's was like, "Are you going to drink on a boat?" I was like, "No," but I'm gonna wear this shirt anyway.
I love the energy.
But right, it's drinking boat energy. I am drinking wine tonight though, and I'm gonna squirrel and spiral like 100 times because I've been home with kids for a week, and yeah. Anyway, so back to the episode. I usually say no to working holidays, but I booked this event last no September of 2022, which is crazy. And I loved this venue. And honestly, the bride was just so amazing. She's actually from Florida, originally from here. She lives in Florida. So she was just like a gem from the start. So when you find those, you don't want to lose them either. And she's just been like a dream to work with. So I'm really excited, but it did prolong, or not prolong, it prevented us from going to my husband's family's lake house for the 4th of July. So his entire family goes, on his mom's side. All the cousins, all the aunts, all the uncles, everyone goes to this. Like cousins fly in.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of yeah, so it's kind of a bummer, like missing something like that. And it's 2.5 hours away. So my husband's like, I'm not driving there by myself with two kids. So, it is a bummer that my kids don't get to experience stuff like that. And that is like, cringy. But I also have to understand that I'm running a business right now. And this is the season of me running this business. So I probably could have dropped the trailer off, had the girls work it because I'm, in that season right now. But I just felt like this was one that I needed to be there for. So we are not going to the lake house. We are working,
Yeah.
but I'm really excited about it. So I just think that you have to get into the mindset of this is what you signed up for. And, you sign up for weekends, you sign up for holidays. And, I can't wait to hear your take on it. But, I started this business to not work weekends in the long run. But right now, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy, you know, getting to an event, working the event, talking to the customers. Like, I still enjoy that aspect of it. I mentioned in the last episode, like, I do see myself weaning out of it because I don't fully enjoy the bartending side anymore. But for right now, for this season, I'm still working it. But yeah, if you, especially the first few years, you sign up for weekends. If you are working in the wedding industry, you sign up for weekends.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really getting into the mindset of understanding that and knowing that this is where your life is. And then I can't wait to talk about your side of this weekend because we talked about that. We take one weekend a month and family, and that was last weekend for me. So it's like, you just have to find the balance of the two. So you want to share about your weekend kicking it off?
Talked about that. I it's funny because the taking one weekend off, that like agreement that we made early on in the podcast, like over a year ago, probably. I don't know if I was the only one that forgot about it. I don't know if you forgot about it too, but I remember we like reconvened maybe a couple months ago and we're like, oh yeah, wait a minute. We did say that we'd do that together, and then neither of us did it. Or we did do it some months, but not other months, or like whatever. So I realized that I had one weekend in October that I hadn't booked. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep it. And any inquiries that come, I'm going to, as sad as it is, turn them away, because I want to be able to give everybody the best experience that I can possibly give them who are already committed to me. And that's just the hard part of being your own boss and being in charge of yourself and making sure that what you are signing on to, you will follow through with. And so, like you for this coming weekend, even though you're now living in the moment and saying, like, oh, it's tomorrow, I would love to go see my family. But unfortunately, 2 years ago, I took that out of the running for myself. And I did that similar scenario. My boyfriend's family does the one vacation that they do as a family. They go camping in Massachusetts. Not that it's like a huge trip, it's just, just like a little weekend camping thing with a couple friends and whatever. Um, I've done that with them like twice in the past, and then last year, and then this year, just so early into the business, so desperate and excited, saying yes to everything. Booked on both of those weekends. And next year, I'm not going to. Gonna cross my fingers and mark it in my calendar that that is Columbus Day and that I'm not going anywhere except there. But it's the same thing, is that when you're so excited and everything's so new, you have to grind, you have to say yes to everything, just to be able to get the word of mouth out there and to get your business on its legs. But then once you're living in it, maybe 2 years from now, a year from now, you have to really follow through with that. And so back to the very beginning of, it might not be for everybody. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like to have those kinds of commitments for yourself and know what you're doing every day, not have that change, or be able to celebrate those weekends off with family, whether you know about them or they're spontaneous, then maybe having year or two long commitments with couples for their wedding days might not be the thing. So even though it seems like a very luxurious career and to be in charge of so many things, and like you're in charge of yourself and that's it, there's a lot more to it than that, and a lot of unfortunate situations and circumstances that you have to settle and live with. But you're going to have the best day ever tomorrow. So, everything is all worth it. And it's an amazing venue that you're excited about. And my weddings, I'm really excited about for that family weekend that I don't get to spend time with. But, you know, it's all for the best. And then you live and you learn. And next year, you and I won't book for those weekends.
Exactly. But it's hard because it's like I feel like also, and I don't know if you feel this way, but when I come into my slow season, that's when I say yes to everything because I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to say desperate because that's not the word that I'm looking for, but like eager to make sure that I'm fully booked for the year.
Yeah.
But I was talking to one of my one of my wedding planner friends, and Nadia, I think you met with her. You met her before. She did the photo shoot with us in Norwalk when we did it at the beer garden.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
And she was saying she only booked four weddings this year, but she committed to those four. And, they were bigger weddings than what she's usually doing. But now she consults for another company too. So she's able to focus her, she can do more consulting for that other company too. So I think it's just, and Devin was my other event planner friend. She was saying like she took on bigger scale weddings, but not as many.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I did this year too. Like I took on way more weddings this year than I've taken on in the past. And I've been saying no to the smaller ones that just like don't really make sense to me at the time. But I also have two trailers. So I was like really eager to book both trailers every, not every weekend because that's just too much, but at least once a month having multiple events with both trailers. So I think I was at the point of saying yes to everything because I was like so eager to make sure that I was getting the business I wanted. And now again, it's all falling into place. But it's like, if I would have said no to those events, would I have gotten, you just don't know. That's what's so hard about this. It's
Yeah.
like if you say no to one, there's a saying that my corporate boss used to say, and it was like, I'm not gonna say it right, but it's something like feed like bird in the hand now or something. I don't know what it is, but it's basically saying so what they used to do was we had a minimum for our ballroom on a Saturday night, and it
Mhm.
was like $50,000. And we would get leads for like $40,000 or 35,000. And I'm like, well, what if we just book this one for this weekend and then, we'll get 50,000 for the others. And they're like, well, what if a lead comes in and it's 80,000 and now you're already booked because you booked the 35,000 and you just lost that revenue. So that really taught me also like it's not, oh, you shouldn't say yes to everything. It has to make sense for your business. But, I think last year I was still in the say yes to everything phase. So,
Yeah,
but I
that's
did.
oh no, continue. We're on
Sorry,
Zoom, guys. I don't know if you can probably tell by the audio, but there's a little bit of a lag when we're speaking. So if this happens, if we talk over each other, so sorry. We'll get in person when we get in person.
yes.
Probably in the
But yeah, exactly. No. Oh my God, no,
event.
no. After this week, I can be a human again. My kids start camp. But I forgot what I was gonna say anyway.
No, no, I'm sorry. We were talking about if a 30,000 lead came in and you took it, but then an
Oh,
80
oh,
came later.
so going back to like, taking that one weekend off, we traveled for our like family vacation in the Cape, but I had two events on Saturday that weekend that we went away.
Yeah.
We went away on Sunday. So like, yeah, we had our trip, but like it started on Sunday. So like I still work. And then I had another event the Saturday that we got back. So I think it's really focusing and training your mindset to say, okay, yes, I'm going to work every weekend, but there are so many pros to it. Like we've joked, we get to go shopping on a Tuesday morning. I
Yes.
get to go to Trader Joe's when it's not as busy as it would be with everyone else in the world at Trader Joe's. So there are a lot of perks to working weekends. I also feel like I don't spend as much money because we're not like going out to dinner on weekends as much. I mean, we go out during the week, but like I feel like I'm not doing as many things as I probably would do if I wasn't working. So I think that's also a pro. What do you think some pros of working weekends are?
Oh, well, pro for me is that you get like not that you get the week off because you don't, but you get the week to be at home. I really like that. I really love being at home. I'm a homebody. I like to wake up when my body's ready and go to sleep when it's ready. And so if that means like starting work at 8 a.m. and going to bed at 9 a.m., then so be it. But if that means starting work at 10 and going to bed at 11, 12, and I work later, then so be that. I really love the freedom and flexibility of that. And like you said, on a Tuesday, being able to just, make an appointment for an oil change and just go in on a Tuesday, like that's amazing to be able to call the dentist and have them be like, when can you come in? And I could be like, whenever. I love that. There's like nobody to work around except yourself and your schedule and your family and those kinds of things. There's no, other higher being boss like pinning you in anywhere. So I think that's my number one is that I get to be home during the week and, remake all of that energy that I need to expel to be and pretend to be an extrovert on the weekend. And during the week, I can, you know, be by myself and quiet and pet the dog. And like, that's what I like. I like to work from home.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like just with like my kids' life, my husband doesn't work weekends, so I'm very lucky that we have that balance of, he can help on the weekends when I have events.
Mhm.
But I think just being able to like go to my kids' school whenever I want and, like I just think my cat is literally going crazy, like tackling the computer. Oh my gosh, nuts. I really think it's just being able to do a luxury of things that I couldn't do during my corporate 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I like going to my kids' school in the middle of the day and reading them a book for their birthday, or picking them up from school and dropping them off at camp and picking them up from camp. Like I could never do that. Their camp's over at 3 o'clock. I used to work in Greenwich until 5. Like it just wouldn't happen. So it's like that luxury that I never thought I would be able to have
Yeah.
is so special to me. So like, yeah, I work a Saturday and I very rarely work Fridays or Sundays. So it's really just Saturdays that I'm working. And if I really, I don't want to talk too loud, but I'm planning a surprise party for my husband. And I have two events that day. So I made a commitment that I'm doing this on this date, but the Friday before I asked if I could drop off the trailers and they were like, yes. I asked if I could pick them up Sunday night. Monday, they were like, yeah, no problem. So it's like, I'm able to still do other things. I know it's probably harder in your industry or an event planner, obviously that wouldn't happen, but that's when you build a team. And that's when scale your business to a different level of being able to do things that you want and still run the business and make the revenue and things like that. So I think it's just, how you want this industry to be is how it can be. You put in what you want and you get out what you want. Like I'm a firm believer of that. And
Yeah.
I think if I wanted to do every single event, I could. If I didn't, I don't have to. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's just so many pros and cons of it all. And I'm here for the pros.
I really like what you said about not having like rules. Like there are no rules. Like you can do whatever you want as long as you stick to the commitments that you say you're going to do in the contracts that you lay out with your couples or whoever you're working with your clients. As long as you meet all of those requirements, you can do whatever the heck you want beyond that. And I think at least with wedding photography and the wedding industry, a lot of people put themselves in boxes and say that like this is the way it has to be. But at least with me and like an artistic standpoint, you can do literally whatever you want. There is no box, there are no rules, there's no certificate that you have to get in order to do what I do. I just do what I do and people pay me for it. There are no, oh, she's done it for X number of years or like any ticks on a resume that you need to have. Entry level, like I know what I can do and I feel like I do it well and at a professional level. And so I'm not saying it's entry level. You can't just push a button and show up. There's a lot more to it than that. But, there were no requirements and you can do whatever you want and there are no rules and there are standards, but do you have to follow them? Maybe your clients don't even want that. So I just wanted to riff on that. I think that that's
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'm not a rule follower. It's so bad. I'm not at all. Are you?
I don't okay. I was grown up that way, like being scared of the rules and thinking that the world had a lot more structure to it than it did. And as I got older and you know, experienced life away from my parents a little bit, even though I still live with them, other jobs and other people and other experiences, traveling by myself and whatnot, I got to see that the world is not as structured as my mom made it out to be because I was a very well behaved kid, very like shy and like scared of, oh, what's going to happen if I break the rules.
Yep.
Um, and so I've done a lot of things out of the box since then. Didn't go to college, but just like jumped in full time to this because I could. And I don't know, just like doing things very differently from I feel like a lot of people my age. So in that regard, I feel like I'm not following the rules, but I also am like a planner and an organizer and like I, have my systems and things that I like to keep routine. But it's funny. I like to have that kind of routine and like read my book every day and have a cup of tea every day and whatever, but like that's the routine I like. I like that what I'm doing every day, the like 9 to 5 editing that I'm doing and then the weekends I'm working are always different people. I like that always changes, but that the
Yep.
routine of sitting down at my computer is the same. It's just what I'm looking at every day is different, different people, new blood and all that. I really like that, but I don't know. Do you like that? Do you like the change
Oh,
in your business?
100%. Even when I was in corporate and I had like a structure of a 9 to 5 and going in every day and having the same meetings every week and all of that, I did like it because all of my events were different. Like
Yeah.
anyone can plan a meeting to be all the same. You get pens, pads, and water, but like your clients are never the same. So like that brought me joy. But when I say I feel like I'm not a rule follower, I just feel like I'm late to everything. I feel like a rule follower is like on time. Like I was late to my own wedding. Like
You were?
minus the fact I got stuck on a chairlift. So it really doesn't count.
Yes. Yes, I do remember that.
But I feel like the universe was like, Jen needs to be late to her own wedding, and everyone understood. But I feel like when I say like I guess I am a rule follower, and I was brought up the same way. Like I went to college because I thought I had to go to college, and
Right.
I don't regret going to college, but I was taught you go to high school and then you go to college and then you do whatever you have. I started going to college. I think we talked about this before, but I wanted to
Wait
be a
a
teacher.
second.
Uh-oh, the puppy wants to play. Megan walked away, but and now I'm just talking to a screen. Oh, there she's at. But I was just saying, like, I feel like I am a rule follower to a sense, but I'm also like I feel like I am okay with not being like not following the rules. Like
Yeah.
I'm okay. No, I'm not saying I'm going to go break the law, but I'm saying like I'm not going to like some I'm trying to think of an example and it's not coming to my mind. But anyway, not to like hone in on this topic, but I just feel like I'm like go by the flow, fly by the seat of my pants, if that's the saying. I'm not good with my brain is so fried. I can't even believe I'm talking and making complete sentences because
Yeah.
it's just I'm on a whole nother planet this month, this week at least. But I just feel like entrepreneurship has allowed me to like use my creative freedom in a way that I never thought I could use it before.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I feel like I'm a like not a rule follower because I feel like a rule follower would have stayed in the 9 to 5, would have stayed in the
Right.
corporate and just climbed the corporate ladder and just, stayed on that. Instead, I diverted to entrepreneurship, which I never thought I wanted to do or would be in. And it was funny, someone posted recently, I don't know if your generation did you ever do like the string like Chinese staircase and all that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I used to sell those bracelets back in the day, and someone just posted about it. And I was like, I did that too. Like, that was where my entrepreneurship actually came in, the first start of it. And I just feel like I just thought because I had to follow the rules back then and do what you're supposed to do. So maybe that's where I feel like I'm a rule breaker. But anyway, I don't even know how we got into this topic, but
No. It's like I like living, it's like an unconventional rule follower.
yeah.
Like we're following the rules to an extent because we're not doing anything wrong, but it is like out of the box and unconventional. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
know.
Exactly.
But what is your least favorite thing?
About the working the weekends and holidays and things like that.
Yeah, just about the lifestyle your business gives you. Is there anything that you don't like?
I think, and this is just the bartending side, because I know you leave a little earlier than I do.
Yeah.
We're the last vendor to leave. We're the last person at the event, and we're one of the first that do arrive too, because
Yeah.
the bar is the whole duration of the event. So I think that people don't really understand the concept of that. And a bartender could show up right before and not be prepared, like, but I am just the overachiever where I have to get there 2 hours before. And I know some bars get there a half hour before. And I'm like, there's no way that you could be prepared the way that the customer wants you to be prepared by getting there 30 minutes before the start time. But I think that's a big thing for me. It's getting home sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning because the event ended at 11. We packed up, it was an hour away. So it's like, I think that's definitely the one aspect. And I feel like as I get older, not that I'm old, but as I get older and my kids still come in my room and wake me up at, early hours of the day, I'm not sleeping in. So I think that's another thing. It's like it takes a toll on your body and just like your mindset in general. So I think that's probably the only really downfall that I have because I think I'm still in the mindset where if I really wanted to attend something, like I don't feel like I'm missing out on things right now. I have accepted the fact that like my girlfriends are all part of a book club and they do it on like a Tuesday. They do it during the week. Like I absolutely could go, but I just am not in the mindset where I feel like I need to go to things right now. I'm in a season where I'm home with my family, I'm putting my kids to bed, and I'm running my business. And I go to important things like I'm hosting a shower here for my best friend. This is going to come out after. Yeah. It's a surprise. And I don't know if she listens to the podcast or not. But I can't believe we're supposedly still keeping it from her because she is like the nosiest person in the entire freaking. She's the person that stalks Venmo to see what people are doing by paying each other. I'm like, you are
Uh,
crazy. One of those. But I really don't feel like there. I think that's the only negative that I'm seeing right now because I I've prepared myself for like this. I've always worked weekends though. Like I was a lifeguard before college, like in college, and then I was a bartender. And then even working in corporate, I worked weekends still because I was planning social events.
yeah.
So I feel like I've never really not worked weekends. So it's just come naturally for me to like accept it. I
Right.
don't know what I would do if I didn't work weekends.
That's
Like
your
the winter, I go crazy. I'm like, what do I do with my
yeah,
life? Like,
yeah, you do.
I go crazy, crazy. That's why I'm starting the social media management because I'm like, I need something to do. But I just think I've mentally prepared myself for what this lifestyle brings. So I don't think, yeah, I really that's amazing that, and maybe again, maybe my brain is just absolutely fried, but I
Yeah.
really can't think of like a huge negative. What do you feel a negative for you would be?
Either. Yeah, I can't really either. The one thing I would say is that like I sometimes miss out on things because I'm working on the weekends. But like that's a given, like that's kind of obvious. And it's nothing that, I need to cry
Is
over.
it like family or friend events, or like what do you feel you're missing on?
No, I really don't. I really don't. I'm not a partier. Like there's nothing that I ever have really felt like I'm missing out on. Like even college, like I didn't have any desire or interest to go. So like yeah, there's nothing that's really like standing out huge. It's like, oh, if I didn't work weddings, then I would be able to do this. Like I don't feel that way about anything except for, if a friend invited me to something, like it's hard to, I guess, like schedule things with friends, but that's just the reality of being an adult. Like I don't really feel like that's because of my work schedule. It's just, like there are so many other jobs that's seasonal or like people work on the weekends. So like you said, like that's what you've done your whole life. So I don't really feel like weddings are like a unique like there's anything like uniquely negative because of what we like. I can't really think of anything either.
And
Besides that, like my job's really expensive. Well, we both have a lot of expenses, like all your ice and everything. I guess it's like that kind of stuff, like the upkeep. There's like some annoyances and things like that with my business where like, why is Dropbox $700? Don't know, but like the cost of
really?
doing business is obnoxious for me and like negative. Like I feel bad sometimes making my prices the way that they are to be able to keep up with the prices of the world right now
Hmm.
and then also pay myself. But like that's not my fault. So
Go in a whole rabbit hole because I just went shopping today and the cups that I usually buy are more expensive. And I'm like, what the hell? Like we're like back to COVID prices when they were like skyrocketed, where I couldn't get limes and they were quadruple the price. I'm like, all right, people, you need to calm the hell down. That's a whole nother episode that we'll
yeah,
go into.
that's like getting into politics.
God, I
but
know, I
but
know.
yeah, no, just the cost of doing business is really high. And that's really hard to educate my clients on and saying that, you know, oh well, when you have me, like all of these things are included. And so this is my price for all of these things bundled together. And it looks like a huge number, but then when I break it down, it's like, well, I have to pay my second shooters, like that comes out to be 1,000 or something, like depending on how many hours it is. Like that's even like that's like huge expense. It's like paying my team paying all of the subscriptions that I need, the USB copy of their photos and just mailing that to them. Like all of these like tiny little things that you don't think seem like a lot end up being a ton, as well as just the responsibility and demand of a photographer or a wedding vendor. Like that is a lot of pressure. A wedding day is not something that you can repeat, that you can do again. Like it is a huge pressure in one day. And so that's a lot of what the pricing is as a wedding vendor. Everybody says that, oh, weddings are so expensive. And like I could book a family photographer for, $100 on a Saturday. And then if they do my wedding the next weekend, it's 10 grand. Why? It's like, oh, well, the demand is way more. The responsibility of working a wedding in some shape, whatever you're doing, if you're a photographer, if you're running the bar, if you're the caterer, if you're the wedding planner, if you're, just the photo, like if you're the photo booth guy, like it's still everything is a lot of demand to give everybody the best experience they could possibly have. And the cost of doing business. And so that's, yeah, that's my
I think,
negative is that the prices of the world are so much that the already pretty high wedding price like doubles or triples just because the cost of doing business. And for me to live, I mean, for me to live is so much less than for you to live or for most people to live because as everybody knows, I don't really have any expenses at the moment. But that doesn't mean that I can't still make the same that everybody else is so that I can eventually get to the similar lives and own a home and all of the things that everybody else is doing. So that's my negative is that
I think also this is like going into a different topic, and I think this could be a whole nother episode, but I recently realized something for myself, and I told you I hired a coach this year, and I'm learning so much. We do weekly, like either twice a week, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week, Zoom calls with the team, and it's just like Q&A, ask questions, whatever. So one of the things was like just knowing your worth, knowing your prices, all of that. And we talk about prices all the time, but I think this is a good segue to talk about this. Two things that I want to bring up. The first one is I did not want to book an event for the date that I and I got a lead and I can't say no, obviously. So I was like, you know what? If this person wants to pay like full prices, and it was basically my wedding prices, and just so like our audience is aware, is kind of understanding, I have a wedding price and I have a backyard party price. It's two totally separate things. A backyard party, the guests are not drinking heavily for 5 hours. Like that,
yeah,
it's not apples to apples. So,
yeah.
and then I have a price for a wedding.
And also what I
And
said, just that the demand of doing a wedding
right,
is so much more,
exactly.
it's so much
So
more
much more.
stress,
Yep.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent her, like, I'm not splurging on her. I didn't send her anything more, but I was just like, sometimes I would discount an event like that. But I was like, you know what? I really don't want to do this event. I'm so crazy. I'm so busy. I sent her my pricing, and she literally signed the contract and sent the deposit back within a few hours.
Isn't that the best
I
feeling ever?
the best feeling because she saw my value, she saw what I was worth, and she wanted my services.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to bring up is one of my good fit, like, well, it's my mom's best friend. She has a son, and then her daughter is one of my best friends. So the son was having a 40th birthday party. I don't know if it was a surprise or if you knew about it, but his wife was planning it. And apparently they hire like a party planner and whatever. They're very wealthy. They have a lot of money. So they hired another mobile bar. And I saw, and I was like, excuse me, like what? And so I called my mom to like bitch to her about it. And I'm like, Mom, what the hell? Like they hired another mobile bar. Like they didn't think to hire me. Like, not that I was mad, but I was like just venting to her.
Yeah.
She's like, well, let me tell you. So apparently they were like so unhappy with this other bar, and it just like, I guess like someone asked for like a ginger ale, and they were like, we don't have ginger ale, and like very rude and just like whatever. And it just made me remind myself again what my value is and like what I bring to the table. And I know that I bring really good service. I bring very friendly bartenders. My staff is amazing. Our products are amazing. We make really good drinks. You have to know your worth. You have to know what your value is and what you bring to the table. And then your prices are just going to come automatically from that. And I know this isn't like a pricing episode, but I just think it's important it all just ties in together. Like
Yeah.
you're working weekends, you're working really hard. weekends are not for everyone. So the vendors that are working the weekends, maybe some of them are tired and they're not bringing their best self forward. And, if I'm charging what I know that I'm worth, it's going to make me work harder because I know that the customer is worth me coming and showing up for them, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like if like I've done events where I'm either doing it for free or I'm doing it for cheap or I'm doing it,
Right,
you
right.
know, whatever. And I truly feel like I always show up. I always show up the best that I can. But I think sometimes if I don't want to be there, and we've talked about this before, like I'm not bringing my best self and I'm not bringing my best personality, my
Yeah,
best smile, my best whatever. And we're bartenders. Like that's our job to be bubbly and
yeah,
smiley.
yeah.
So I just think it's important to know your value and charge what you're worth because then it's going to make us not be able to think about the worst things about this industry because we can't think of bad things, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Finding the clients that are meant for you. We've talked about this
Yes.
before, finding the clients that are meant for you. And if your heart is not in it, and I think this is what you were trying to say, if like your heart is not fully in it, then your clients are going to feel that. And if you know, like, even though you're trying to put in 100% and give everybody the best experience that you possibly can, there still is like a piece of you saying like, oh, but I could have booked that 85,000 instead of the 30,000 one like you did in your corporate days. And so even though like we are, the face of our businesses and we put our heart and soul into it, we could have off days or we could have couples that we just don't really feel that right about or whatever it may be, where we're just not that excited to go. Like that's how I used to feel about family sessions. Like I used to do a lot of family sessions. We did minis together a long time ago,
Yeah.
and anytime I would book a couple session, an engagement session, I'd be thrilled to go, over the moon, so excited, counting down the days. And then if I had a family session on the calendar, I would dread going. I would not want to go. Consider using the rain date just because I would want to get out of it. Like, just didn't feel right. And that's not their fault, but it just didn't, work out. But I just had an inquiry for a family session of a sister of a bride who I've met at their wedding, and they reached out and they were like, "Hey, can you photograph us? Like, we want something very casual, like, want it to feel like you caught us in the backyard. Like, we don't want it like posy, cheesy, like smiley, whatever. We just want it to be natural." And I was like, if I get family session inquiries like that, I'll do it. Especially if they're people that I know or like people that I've worked with before or that I just like know actually want that. Cause a lot of people will say that and not actually want that. Um, that's yeah. So my heart will be in that. But if I got just any other family inquiry, a stranger I didn't know, no details, just sent me like a date and a time, I probably wouldn't, be that invested and be lit up
Yeah.
like I am with the clients that are meant for me. So
And I think that goes back to like tying in the whole episode of why I said yes to the 4th of July wedding. Like I could have very easily said no to this and
yeah,
been like, no, I'm not going to do 4th of July. We're going to spend time with family, whatever. But instead, like the her name's Allie, and she just like lit me up, and she was like, it just seemed like it's going to just be a really great day, and it's at my favorite venue. I couldn't
yeah,
say no to that either. So I just think, the stars aligned, 4th of July. But I truly feel that, you have to always remember your why in this industry because there are going to be hard times. There are going to be the weekends that you probably want to do something else, but you already committed to something. And you have to just remember, where your heart is in this business because if you don't, it's not going to be fun. And I'm a firm believer that if like I talked about it in last episode, I'm kind of leaning towards not bartending anymore. And I know that that's why I started this business. It's not why I started this business. That was my mindset of when I started that the long term, I would not be behind the bar anymore.
right,
And
right.
I feel like not my body, I don't want to say my body, but like my mindset is starting to realize that. And I think my coaching program has also made me realize that.
Yeah,
But that's okay. Like my word this year was evolve. Like
yeah,
maybe I am here to evolve into doing something more and doing something different and new and and having the girls work the business. This is what I talked about previously. And I feel like the more I say it, it's like I'm putting into the universe. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep, but I think it's, there's a reason I keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's okay to make changes if it's not what lights you up every single day.
Yeah.
And I think you have to.
Yeah, yeah. And if that was your dream from the beginning, like if your dream from the beginning was to be like the owner and the manager and like coordinate rather than be so present, then it's just coming sooner than expected. And that's how it was with video for me too. Like I knew that I wanted to do both. I knew I wanted to be a wedding filmmaker and a photographer, and it just came way faster than I expected. But like you just roll with the punches, and if the universe is sending opportunities to you to make things happen faster than you think, like just go with it. Even though it is scary, and this is a very luxurious job, but it's also a very scary job. And you have to make a lot of hard decisions, but also a lot of great ones. And so, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk about any of the like not so luxurious things?
Yeah, I I think for me, it just goes back to late nights. It goes back, well,
Yeah.
it also goes back to the unknown of this business. You don't know if you're going to get paid every week. You don't know if a lead is going to come in. You can do all the marketing that you possibly want to do, but you don't know if at the end of the day, any of those are going to pan through and any of that is really going to come to fruition. And I think that's a really scary, like, rocky part of entrepreneurship. There's so many highs and lows of the business. And I think it's really having the mindset that, you know, I've seen recently on like social media, it's like one day you can make $0, and the next you can make, 5,000. And it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true in this business. And it is all what you put into it. And so I think it's really hard some days to give your all. And like right now I'm in a season where I am not giving my business my all. Like I'm canceling on you. I'm canceling, like I'm not responding to emails right away from clients. That is not like me at all. But I'm in a season where I have to do what's best for my family and I have to be present with my kids and I have to do like what's best. And that's hard.
They need,
It's hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard being able to shut the business off, turn the family on. Like we talked, I think in my group like coaching call, we talked about balance and like there's no balance because if you're really busy in your business, your family is not doing as well. Not that it's not doing as well, but you're not putting as much attention into that. And same thing, like right now, I'm putting all of my attention into my kids. They're home. There's no camp. I'm going crazy. But, and my business is not lacking, but I'm not putting the all that I would typically put in. Like I'm not responding to customers right away.
Yeah.
I actually had to have a wedding planner like send me a follow-up email, which never happens to me. Like I never have to get follow-up emails. So, that's really hard, but it's like, and I
Yeah.
responded from my cell phone, which I try not to do because I just like to do stuff on my computer. And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I'm so crazy right now. I was like, I did not forget about you. Like, I will get back to you ASAP. So, like, she just needed that acknowledgement that I responded to her. I didn't answer her questions because I needed to, like, be at my computer and, like, really, like, be present to answer. But, like, I was able to give her a quick response, which is really what she needed. But I think that's a really hard part is
Yeah.
trying to find I hate the word balance because there's no balance in this industry, like or just in entrepreneurship, not even in the wedding industry, just entrepreneurship in general. Like I'm just a firm believer that if one thing it's like the scale, if one thing's doing
Yeah.
really well, it's not doing really well. And I know balance was your word this year. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how are you doing with balance?
Wow, we talked about this, I think, in another episode, and you told me that I should get like a visual scale so that I can see that balance. And I have to tell you, right now, my scale looks like this. And I have a lot of pennies. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a lot of pennies in my work scale and significantly less in my personal scale. But that's figuring out the balance. And I'm going away this weekend for the 4th of July. And so a few more pennies are going to go in my personal one and balance it out a little bit more. But we just came off of June, and June is always for me a pretty crazy month. I mean, it's my season started in March this year. I had my first wedding in March, but March and April were slow-ish, and then June is like where it takes off.
Mhm.
And then for some reason, July and August are always fairly slow-ish. For me, it's big in June and tapers off, and then goes big again in the fall. Those are like my three big months. But anyway, so coming back from my trip, hopefully I'll be able to level them off a little bit because I'll be shooting less and just editing more. Um,
Mhm.
and that's one of my hacks is I have a little note in my notes app on my phone that's like, you know how you can do like the checklist thing?
Wait, no. Okay. Time out. Explain this to me because that was really weird.
What?
Wait, put your phone back up to the screen, anyone
Oh,
that's
I think
watching.
it's like it's trying to do like the face recognition.
Oh, that's hilarious. There's like a weird thing
Yeah.
coming out of Megan's phone.
It
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Wait, no, what do you like? I know the notepad, but like I'm looking for something where I can check off notes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This I keep all of my due dates that I contract myself to have.
Oh,
With all of my
and
couples in my notes app, and there's like when you go to type, it
yes.
it's
Okay. Yep.
yeah,
It's a little dots, right?
yeah, the little bullet dots.
Yep.
So they
Oh, okay.
check those
Okay. I
off.
have used that before. I don't know why. I was like
Yeah.
looking for a new app to download, which I don't need another app to download.
No, you can do it. You can do it just with Apple.
Oh, I get
But
that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's one of my hacks is to like go through my contracts, and then when I shoot, I'll add them to here and add in like their sneak peek galleries do what day and their final galleries do what day. And it just helps
Love
me like
that.
visualize it and be like, what's the next thing? Because that's not that I'm just getting by because I have been feeling way more balanced this year than I have in past years because I'm working on it and I'm reading a lot and I painted my nails today and like little things that accumulate to overall a good mindset. But
I just have to give you a laugh, anyone that's watching. I painted my nails yesterday.
where'd they go?
Yeah, so anyone that can't see, I literally they
Uh,
oh here's one.
nice.
My thumb is still intact. Every other nail is gone. I have to get gel, permanent gel. It's so bad. All right, powder. I get
We
the
should
powder.
do that together. We should do nail appointments together.
Yes.
We
I
need a
love
like because I really like to do that, but I only ever go with my mom and like I feel like I don't know. But I always feel better if like my hair is nice and like my nails are clean. Like I feel better about myself even if I'm not doing anything just because I like feel
yes. Oh my God. All
like
right. Add to the that we should add it to our to-do list.
yeah, I'll add it to my list. But anyway, this checklist in my notes app, it's like helpful for me to just like see what's the next thing that I have to deliver, just to be like, what's the next thing? And if, like I want to do photo or video that day, or like depending on if I'm out of the house or in the house and I'm working on my desktop or my laptop, I might like bounce around the list. But like this has been really helpful for me to balance my life because going away this weekend, I needed to see like what what is waiting for me when I get back and what is the most important thing and who's next on the list and who's next after that and what do I need to be prepared for and what do I need to, be ready for. And so today I finished, like I finished everything that I had to do that was due for me to come back. And so tomorrow I'm pet sitting today. If you guys didn't see the dog earlier, he's not mine, but I love him. But like tomorrow I get to do something else. Like I get to do that and I get to respond to emails and make sure that I have my out of office message on for the weekend. And I don't think I have any inquiries to respond to, but like things like that. I'm going to post on social media before I go. Just prep kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's easy to forget those kinds of things in the business and to just work in your business and not on it. But I've been trying to get better about balancing the scale with me like in my personal life and my work life, but also like in my business and on my business. I've been like trying to like get everything in a line. And I do think it is like relatively possible. Like I think it's hard, but I don't think it's impossible. And just right now my scale's like this and I'm gonna work on it.
But I think that's what's important is understanding that you're unbalanced. Do you know what I mean? Like I think,
Aware.
yeah, just being it's like you could go, 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 and I'm a go, go, go. Like I don't know how to stop. My mom's the same way. Like I am, it's just in my blood, I think. but I don't think that's a bad thing either, because I
Yeah.
think that's what motivates me in this industry and in this business. But I truly think that it's you're never nothing's going to be perfect. Like nobody is perfect. I was talking to again, I keep referring back to my, group coaching call, but I've gained so much. Shout out to Sarah with Mobile Web Pros. I've gained so much from this program that, just talking to other like-minded people. I get so much knowledge from her, but also just talking to someone who's in the industry. And this one other mobile bar just started her chapter one. And she was saying, she's like, I feel so guilty that my house is a mess, that I am, working on my business sometimes. And then other times I feel like I have to clean my house and I feel like I have to do this and do that. And she's literally just starting her business. And I'm like, you're at chapter one and you're probably comparing yourself to people who are at chapter 10. And that's what's so hard with social media is we're seeing all these people, especially these influencers painting these perfect lives.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Like I also follow accounts that make fun of influencers and I like saw one recently. It's a guy and he like basically showed the background of his house except for this one perfectly like pristine area. And he's like, if you really want to see my life, and he like turns his phone around and his house is just like a disaster. And he's like, but if you want to see my social media side, and it's like this like
Yeah.
perfect, perfectly structured, like perfect lighting, looks like he lives in like $1 million home, all the things. And it's like, that's what you see. You only see what people want, what people are showing you. And Sarah was very like transparent. And she's like, I have a housekeeper. I have, there's things that, because the woman was like, Sarah, how do you wear so many hats? You're so good at this. And she was very transparent. She's like, I'm good at certain things and I'm not good at other things. And I feel like that was so good for someone else to hear because I feel like I'm the same way. Like people see that like, I have a good following on social media now, but I worked really hard to get that following.
Yeah.
And I am booked every single weekend. I worked really hard to get booked every single weekend. So I
Yeah.
think it's like people see this like thriving business and then I'm over here telling you I'm canceling on you. I'm not responding to emails. I'm a hot freaking mess. So I think it's like you just have to understand that everyone is going through the motions that you're going through. It's just really hard when you're going through it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a lot of those things that make you, feel like your hair is on fire could all be internal things as well. Like
Yeah.
you could look, perfectly nipped and tucked and zipped and whatever in social media and even just like in your life. Like there are some days where I'm like, I'm on top of the world, like everything is great, my work is going really well. But then there's other days where I'm like, do I hate my editing style? Do I hate everything? Do I want to change everything? And like, even though things look perfect and feel perfect a lot of the time, like sometimes I have those like intrusive thoughts and things in my head that are just like, you know, um, because, I don't have a house to take care of and like other things. And maybe that's why I have like a lot of those thoughts is because I'm not taking like that nervous energy out like into my environment. Um, so like the only thing to take care of is myself. And so like if I'm gonna lack on something, I guess it's gonna be that. But I don't know. I don't know if that made sense at all, but
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think there's just so many highs and lows with this industry, but as long as you are enjoying what you're doing at the end of the day, like it's all worth it, in my opinion. And I'm still enjoying it. And the day that I don't, and this is what happened in my corporate career, I was working for Hyatt and I was not enjoying it anymore. I was unhappy. I disliked my boss. Let's call that what it is. Like I hate using the word hate, but I absolutely hated my boss. She made my life miserable. She was a horrible person. Ended up having an affair with our general manager. So let's throw that in there too. Yeah. So just a horrible person in general, but she was making my work life miserable. And I was bringing it home, the negative energy. And this was
yeah.
prior to kids. So I just bring it all home to poor Eddie. And like, I was like, this is not okay. So I ended up leaving and I went to the Hilton for exactly 1 year, which is crazy. I left in May and returned the following May. And I came back a whole new person. And I enjoyed my time at the Hilton, but it just wasn't the best like hotel. And I went back to the Hyatt and I absolutely loved it. And when I left, I still loved it. So like it goes to show that like one person can make your life miserable because
Yeah.
I'm living proof of that. And B, you have to do what's best for you. And like my husband right now is going through a season where he has to make a decision at his job if he wants to take on a different role in the company or stay where he is. And, that's a hard decision to make. So
Yeah.
it's like at the end of the day, you have to like, I'm a firm believer of go with your gut. Like I feel like your gut instinct is always right, even though you think it might not be.
Yeah.
And I read my horoscope a lot and I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally right. I'm going with it because my horoscope told me.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I'll give a personal example. My daughter is going to be 5 in December, and the cutoff date for kindergarten is September. You have like the new rule in Connecticut is you have to be 5 before September or yeah September 1st in order to be like eligible for kindergarten. But in Connecticut, they're still allowing parents to like bypass that. And I just know how ready she is. My gut is telling me how ready she is. Like my soul is telling me that she's ready to go, but then I'm like, but the law in Connecticut is like you should be like she should wait another year. And so we're sending her because like I'm going with my gut instinct and like I've just been going back and forth through all the pros and cons and like all this like crazy stuff in my head and adding this on top of everything else that I'm doing in the world. But I feel like you have to go with what your gut is telling you
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of decisions that I think I've made in my business that are like pro con list. I feel like I'm a real like we kind of talked about. We'll come back to the beginning and then think this will be it. But like I'm a real follower in the sense that like I like to make logistical kind of like decisions like that. I like the pro con list. That kind like I overthink those things. But at the same time, I agree with you and I like to go with my gut. And I just sometimes things are really scary and don't make a lot of sense, but like you like feel it in your gut that you know that it feels right and that you have to do it. And if things don't work out, they don't work out. But like that's how I started my business. Is like I was working a full-time job, enjoyed it enough, didn't love the company, but loved what I was doing. And
Mhm.
had an opportunity there where well, he wasn't the owner like really that in charge, but wanted to promote me and make a new position um, for me to like grow the business to the scale that other ones in the chain are. This was like a newer building within like this 200 company chain. I don't know if that made sense, but anyway, they offered me that kind of opportunity, and I was like, man, that sounds like that sounds like a job that I would enjoy. It would pay more,
Mhm.
but it also like it would give me more responsibility. And I kind of like responsibility and being in charge and organizing things. And I was like, that would be really cool. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to see what this photography thing is all about. And did it make any sense for me to just quit my job and just, give like a week notice and just be like that's it for me. I think that's it. Didn't really make a lot of sense. Like I didn't really have photography set up at all, but I was just like, you know what? I'm it's not going to be anything spectacular unless I put 100% of my time and energy into it. And so I was like, that's what I know is right in my gut. And I'm lucky and fortunate to have the physical and like financial opportunity to do that. Like there's nothing in the world weighing on my shoulders making me work a full-time job right now. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And
Yeah.
that was like a gut feeling that like didn't make any logistical sense. Probably a really bad idea. And lucky that it worked out, but I'm lucky it worked out because I was lucky in my circumstances and the hand that was dealt to me and that I didn't have any college debt or anything like that and that there wasn't anything pressing. Like I was able to put the work into it and like I made my success happen. I wasn't lucky that it happened. I made that happen, but I'm lucky that I was
I
given
was
the opportunity.
yeah, I don't think it was luck for you at all. I think you busted your ass and worked so hard for it. You know what I mean? Like I think you're being really kind because and I say this from experience. Like I could have stayed at the Hyatt and worked the business on weekends. And when I left, I was doing
Yeah.
corporate. So I wasn't working weekends anymore. So I absolutely could have done both. But I knew like exactly what you just said. if I didn't put my all into this, it would not be where it is today.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a really big thing for like our listeners to understand that, the first year to 2 years, we're on year three, even 3 years, like it is really, you have to hustle your ass off. Like there is no secret sauce. There is no hidden secrets that it's just going to magically happen. Like you have to work really hard to be successful.
You have to be smart.
And I think, yeah, and you and I are living proof of that. Like, and we started the conversation. I don't know if we started recording, but Megan was like, people think I just work one day a week and I just hit tap a button. And that is what people think. People think I just
Yeah.
work behind a and I just bartend. Like there is so much more that goes into every single business.
Mhm.
Every single business. Like there's a million businesses that I could talk about where people don't see what you really do every single day.
Yeah.
And anyone listening can understand what that means because nobody knows what you're going through until they're actually in your shoes.
Yeah.
So I
100%.
think that's, yeah. So I think that's a good conclusion for today. I
Good.
love this conversation. I think it's just like a good reminder to people that balance is not a thing, but if you're aware of it,
You can
right?
try. Yeah. Yeah, you can try. And we'll see. And we'll
Oh, the dog giving Megan kisses. It's the
see.
cutest thing ever. He or she. Is it a he or she?
Boy.
Oh, he's like, all right, get off the computer and come hang with me now.
I gotta go.
Surprised my kids have not been up here yet. But all right. Well, this was great. Thank you for listening in, and we'll see you in two
Yeah.
weeks. Cheers.
Cheers.